Helo a chroeso I Up the Archer ar Met TV efo ni yma ar gampus King Coed. Mae wedi bod yn wsos arbennig efo cwpan y byd yn mynd am 10 diwrnod cyfan. Welcome to Up the Archer, and we're here after a bonkers 10 days with football spanning from 10 a.m. in the morning to 9 a.m. in the evening. It's been a special couple of days, and we've been having James Roberts, our reporter, running like a headless chicken around campus, asking the question that's on everybody's lips.
World Cup fever has not only gripped the attention of the nation, but the attention of all students here at Cardiff Met's King Coy campus. So let's go and find out what they have to say about the tournament. Let's go! Should the World Cup be in Qatar right now?
No.
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah?
To be honest, I don't really have an opinion.
No.
I guess so.
Yeah.
No.
No, I should be in Cardiff.
No.
No. No, I don't believe so.
No.
No. No.
I don't see a problem with it.
No. Yes.
No.
No, I don't think it should.
No.
No.
Not really, but...
No. No.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't see why not, but...
No. Probably not.
Not really.
Absolutely not.
Probably not. No, probably not.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Probably not, no.
Probably.
No, absolutely no way.
No.
No, I don't think so.
No. I don't know.
No, yes.
No.
Probably not. No.
Yes.
Nah.
Probably not.
No.
No.
Harry Kane or Gareth Bale?
Harry Kane.
Gareth Bale?
Harry Kane.
Gareth Bale.
Oh, it's got to be Harry Kane of English.
Bale.
Kane. Bale.
Harry Kane.
Oh, Harry Kane.
Bale.
Oh, is it because he's better looking? Because he's Welsh?
Welsh.
Nice.
Gareth Bale.
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane.
Gareth Bale.
Harry Kane.
Kane.
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane. Neither Ronaldo.
And where should the World Cup be held next after the USA? We're talking 2030.
Well, I mean, going along with the Qatar thing, probably North Korea.
Probably both.
England.
UK.
I reckon Australia or New Zealand.
England.
Japan.
France. I think it would be fun if it was in Scandinavia.
I mean, I want to say Brazil again, but it was already in 2014.
Possibly France. Japan.
Wales.
France would be nice.
Go South Korea. Britain.
So like a united bid, or just Scotland?
I think Britain, yeah.
A united bid? All of the home nations? With Ireland or without Ireland?
With.
Ooh!
Fascinating to see there what other people on the campus are thinking about the Bale-Kane debate. So here to unpack it all with me here is Mo and Dav. How are you both?
Yeah, good,
Yo.
thanks. Yeah, not too bad, not too bad.
So I've got one simple question for you both here. Should the World Cup be in Qatar?
Definitely, I agree the World Cup has been a success so far and it should be in Qatar because if we're trying to grow football in that region, which is a hotbed of football, we've got to take the World Cup to different areas. It can't always be just in Europe, basically. The World Cup needs to spread. A lot of fans are going to be attracted and it puts a focus in that region, which is a sometimes volatile region. That sport brings change.
I think it is a positive thing that it's gone to Qatar. Whether it should have or not, I think that's a question for 12 years ago, probably. In my opinion, I think the answer is probably no, but that does give us a chance to shine a light on some issues that we are seeing now, today.
So with those issues, as you said, those should have been brought up about 12 years ago. So why now? Why isn't it being brought up now?
I think there's a problem with immediacy. I think people don't really worry about things until they're about to happen, and now that it's here, things start kicking up a fuss. I think people in Qatar will be quite happy with how everything's gone so far, though. I think they came in with specific goals, and that's tourism, global attention, and not to have to compromise their cultural values, and they've done that so far, so I think they'll be happy.
Very well, very well. But started off with a tough question there, but we'll go on to Joe's video that they tweeted out this afternoon about sports washing. Have a look. It's quite funny.
FIFA corruption made us rich.
don't care how many guys play the pitch. We got blood on the boots of the beautiful game. And then we blackmailed Harry Kane, working at the sports lodge, on the payroll at the sports lodge, yeah. Come on man, sing it to me. Sports lodge. We are all working at the sports lodge now.
They say everybody has a price. Visit Qatar, it's really nice. Those rights abuses make me sick.
You're just another hypocrite.
So get those lights up today. Best not tell anyone if you're gay. And throw that armband away.
If you don't pay, you won't play at the sports lodge.
Better keep that gob shut
at the sports lodge, yeah.
There'll be travel guys to
sports lodge. We are all working at the sports lodge now.
So, putting a little light twist on quite a heavy subject, really, isn't it? But we'll turn it back now to your opinions. So it's well documented that the One Love armband had an U-turn with FIFA. They said, no, you cannot wear it. If you do wear it, you'll be shown a yellow card with the sanctions and everything. So what are your opinions on it? Should teams have just said no to FIFA and still worn that One Love armband, or are FIFA right to respect the cultures of Qatar?
I think it's a problem with football associations and organisations at the moment. I think they're trying to be as inclusive as possible, so they attach themselves to these ideals and movements and cultural changes. But then as soon as it affects football, they drop it straight away. So I understanding the culture, but if you're going to make a stance about inclusivity and one love, you've got to wear the armband and take the yellow card.
I believe FIFA were correct in a way that they should not have worn the armband at the time due to the customs and the law in Qatar is really different to what the laws that we have in this country. Basically, is illegal, a lot of stuff regarding the rainbow flag in that part of the region. But if the teams were going to do it, they should have stuck to it, then back down. Obviously, they could have just got a yellow card and then just accepted it. They would have been respected more. But for them to say we're going to do it, as soon as FIFA come down at them, they basically chickened out, and it didn't look good on none of these FAs.
So for both of you now, would you have, personally, if you were on the pitch, would you still have worn that One Love armband? Because we saw Alex Scott, she made a bit of a protest and got a lot of attention for it, rightly or wrongly, and she still wore it on TV. So would you still have worn it? Because Bale made a good observation that he would have been sent off, but in 25 minutes. So what are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't have worn it, if I'm being honest, because my job is to play football at the end of the day. I'm going there to win a competition, to win a World Cup. My whole focus should be football. I wouldn't be focusing on anything else, you see. I would also respect the culture and the laws and the customs of that country and concentrate on my day job.
I think that all comes from the captain, to be honest. I think if this had come up in another time, maybe you'd have seen a lot more teams protesting in that way, wearing the armband against FIFA's wishes. If it had been me, I'd like to think that I would have, but if Harry Kane's the captain and he's saying let's not do it, if Gareth Southgate's saying not do it, if you're in the England camp, then I don't see how you can. Well done to Alex Scott, she was fantastic indeed, brave in doing so.
Certainly. So the Qatari World Cup has come under a lot of scrutiny on the fact that it's the most expensive that's ever been. It's the most, well, the lesser carbon neutral of all of the World Cups. It gives out more carbon dioxide or something than Russia, South Africa and Brazil at the same time. So, you know, it's not a very environmentally friendly World Cup. Does that then affect your choice as a FIFA official to hold this World Cup in Qatar?
I think it'll definitely impact their choice of the next one. I mean, it's going to make them impose an awful lot on the US in 2026. But whoever gets 2030, there's going to be strict regulations about it, I'm sure. If they can't beat Brazil and they can't beat South Africa and they can't beat these former tournaments who didn't have a fantastic carbon neutral record, it was just they were even worse. So they had to build a lot of stadiums, which creates a lot of problems if you're trying to go ecological. But they've impacted the region, and that's going to impact FIFA's decision making for the future.
So as we're talking about the temperature, the carbon dioxide and everything like that, we've had Kian talk with Will Dunlop, who's been actually at the World Cup, experiencing the heat rather than just talking about it.
Well, first and foremost, can you talk us through your typical day?
Yeah, okay. So first of all, it depends what shift I'm on. So our shifts are broken down. So like there might be day shifts, there might be evening shifts, there might be late night shifts. So if I'm on a day shift like I am at the moment, then it's a wake up maybe sort of 7ish. Depends how much sleep I need. And then grab some breakfast in the hotel, and then get the metro across to the broadcast centre out here. And from here, it is a case of working sort of 9 till 6. And then depending on if there's games, then like hopefully try and get to a game. And yeah, and then sort of just into the evening, sort of general sort of chill in the evening, not too much in the evenings because we would have worked for quite long hours.
What kind of things are you doing out there in Doha?
So I'm working in the broadcast centre here, the IBC, and essentially the team that I work with, we receive any like video content that sort of FIFA make and that FIFA push out to all of the rights holders. So like teams like the BBC and ITV, content comes to us, and then it's also sent the like documentation that needs to go with it. We make sure that the documentation is right and that it matches like the clips and things. We put them together and then they get uploaded onto FIFA's version of the cloud, if you like. And then all the rights holders download those clips and that documentation.
Does it feel like you're at a World Cup out there?
An interesting one. It's definitely speaking to people who have done lots of World Cups, because everyone here seems to be on like their 3rd, 4th or 5th World Cup at least. They all say it's very different. It's obviously unique, it being in one city. And I think the perk of that is obviously, like we're saying, you can sort of get to games at sort of quite late notice. But at the same time, there may not be the same sort of like thrill for the football as a whole, if you like. You know, there have been a few games that maybe haven't been full. So that means maybe some of the smaller games. Whereas if, you know, like you look at like maybe the Brazil World Cup, you felt like, even the smaller teams were getting, full crowds and things. So maybe that's slightly different. But yeah, the sort of feeling around camp is still that, it's still a huge event and there's still a lot going on.
Well, Will, we look forward to you coming home, but make sure you're going out and enjoying everything you can.
Thank you very much, mate.
Will Dunlop there, our very own sports media undergrad. As I said to the others before, he's had a completely different experience to what we have, watching it on telly. But what are your thoughts so far on the World Cup? And I'll start with you, Ed. A good dominant performance there from England last night. Any standouts for you throughout the tournament?
Yeah, like you said, dominant performance from England last night. I think they've been really impressive this World Cup. Players like Rashford, Saka, both scoring goals at the moment for fun, which is a really good sign. But one player I would highlight who's been a standout for me for England has been Jude Bellingham. He's been absolutely fantastic in the middle of the park. 19 years old, putting in performances way beyond his years. The maturity that he's shown, he's almost like a leader at 19 in the middle of the midfield. I think composure on the ball. He's chipping in with goals as well now. Something that he's added to his game in recent years. you know, the fact that he was 14 when England were last in the World Cup is something quite staggering, really. So, yeah, I'd say Jude Bellingham, I think he's been absolutely fantastic for England, and I think if he can continue that form going on to the later stages of the tournament, then England have got a real chance.
So for you, Jamesy, as our Welsh correspondent, get to the one.
Yeah.
Well, in the grand scheme of things, was it a successful tournament? The fact that they were in the World Cup, that they still technically in the group of death.
I think there's two schools of thought. I think the fact we've qualified for the first time in 64 years is an unbelievable achievement, given the size of the nation, given the length of time it's taken for us to qualify. But I think you've got to look at things in isolation, maybe. The 3 games on their own. You look at the way Wales played, probably the first 2 were so disappointing, and then to need something against a really, really good England side made it even more difficult. So, unbelievably proud that we got there, but I think both the fans and probably the players themselves will feel that we could have done so much better.
So for you, Ed, how far do you think England are going to go? I know you're an England fan and hoping for that win, but realistically?
I think it's a good question, you know. Obviously, they got Senegal on Sunday. I think it looks like if they get through that, then they might get France in the quarter. I think quarter-final, that French game in the quarters could be a real tough game. So I think if they do get past that, then that'll be a hell of an achievement. But I think quarters could be where we see England bow out of the tournament. But hopefully we can get through to the final.
Do you know, you talked about Jude Bellingham being an integral part of that midfield. I was just thinking, midfield was something that we were lacking for Wales. What kind of player do we need in that centre of midfield to just be able to just play more freely?
I think we certainly saw the difference in the England game with Joe Allen coming in as kind of anchoring the midfield with Ampadu, and that's what we'd missed out on in a few games previously. It was too easy for teams to just run through the midfield and play a straight ball through the defence. It happened once last night, Rashford saved by Danny Ward, but it also happened against the USA and they scored from it, and it was happening in the qualifiers. So I feel like that's something that could have been addressed. Obviously, it's always going to be difficult against England. You're playing as quality players, so you have to keep your lines as tight as possible, not give them too much space in midfield. I felt like the first half we did that. Obviously, you could see the free kick from Rashford, and then you're up against it. A goal a minute later as well made it really tough for Wales because we knew we had to win. But first half, I thought we did okay, to be fair.
So I'm going to ask you the same question we saw on those Vox Pops earlier. Kane or Bale? I don't want a one-word answer. I want you to elaborate on it.
I'll let you go first.
Okay. In his prime, probably Bale. At the moment, I'm going to sit on the fence. You'd have to say Kane, the way he's playing. But yeah, I would say you look at Bale, you look at his medal, or you look at where he's played. I'd have to go with prime Gareth Bale, yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree with James. Yeah, I think Bale, you know, he's turned up in the big moments in his career. You look at what he's won for Real Madrid, taken Wales to the semi-finals of the Euros. Albeit I'm a huge fan of Harry Kane. I think, you know, if he breaks that all-time Premier League goal-scoring record, you know, then they possibly could have a different conversation. But, you know, I think Bale probably edged it on this one. You know, it turned up in the big moment, Champions League finals, you know, Euros, quarterfinals. So, you know, Gareth Bale for me.
Would you swap Bale in for Kane?
Not right now. Not right now. Not this version of Gareth Bale we're seeing. I think, you know, it's probably one tournament maybe too far for him. He's probably showed that in some of his performances this year. But I think in his prime, yeah, I probably would slot Gareth Bale in there.
Because for me, there's no one that gets into that England team from Wales. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's tough, and we've got to look at who is coming through, obviously. Whether it is the last tournament for some players. I mean, we've taken players that pretty much we knew weren't going to play on the basis that they hopefully would have an effect on the group. It doesn't look like it's happened because we've got 1 point from 3 games. And you've got to ask yourself, you know, it's 1 win from 11 games now for Robert Page. So whether he's taken us as far as he can, and we need to build for the future, I think we do, but obviously some of those players will need to be involved. They need to integrate younger players. We can't just get rid of Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey because they've got the experience to bring those players through. And sometimes there can be a knee-jerk reaction with these sort of things. And yeah, they didn't have the best of tournaments, but I think hopefully we'll see them get back to their best and they can bring some of these young players through for Euro 2024 qualifying.
Exactly. Thank you very much. So we know we've been just been talking about England and Wales, but there's one more team in that group. That's been impressive throughout. The USA and Ryan Bellini has been chatting with our counterparts at Ball State University.
Having made it to the last 16 in Doha, are the USA the sleeping giant in this year's World Cup? Whether you call it football or soccer, the sport itself is rapidly growing in the United States of America. The national team is now 16th in the FIFA World Rankings, with 13 of their 26 players in Qatar already playing inside Europe's top 5 leagues. The squad itself is stacked with potential, especially when you consider that the average age of the team is just over 25, the second youngest in this year's tournament. I caught up with Griffin Leonard from Ball State University to understand how the Winter World Cup is being digested over in the States. Okay, Griffin, so the World Cup is the biggest international tournament in football. It happens every 4 years. What is the buzz like in the United States?
Well, Ryan, obviously it's soccer here in the United States. It's not the same level that it is out where you guys are. And myself, I'm a huge soccer fan. And obviously that love isn't quite shared by everyone here, but there's still a lot of buzz, a lot of excitement. And the United States team that we have here this year, they're promising, and it's been a lot of fun to watch them. And I think they're exposing some new fans to the sport as a result.
So would you say that this year the support is different to other years? There's been a lot of watch parties sort of published on Twitter. That's where I've seen the appeal. So yeah, would you say there's more people that are supporting and interested this year?
I would say so. It obviously helps that the United States have actually qualified for this World Cup rather than in 2018 where they weren't even in the tournament. There's been a ton of support, a ton of watch parties. For earlier in the group stage, I went to one with probably 800 people for the United States-England match. That was just a ton of fun. So I think that the opportunity that the World Cup brings to bring more fans into it, and it's just a really exciting time.
Yeah, and then lastly, Qatar being the host, there's obviously a lot of controversy that's going around that. What is the general perception like in the States? Is it negative in the press, or how much attention is being paid to that?
There's quite a bit of attention. I know that there's some controversy. The BBC and Fox covered their broadcast opens very differently. The BBC talked about the situation going on in Qatar, and they highlighted it in decent detail, whereas Fox kind of ignored it, and that got some backlash. But the general consensus out here is obviously that it's wrong, that there's issues that should have been fixed. And I know for me, myself, I'm trying to enjoy the tournament as much as I can despite that. But it's definitely disappointing. I think the vast majority of Americans out here would agree that there's major issues with the site of the tournament.
So last night, England versus Wales might be disappointing for some, but might be an ecstatic game for others. So, yeah, James here, I've already chatted with you about the disappointment of last night, but what do you think we were lacking last night, especially because we went down and we went 2 down then, seconds later. So what were your thoughts on it, really?
I think you can't rationalise for Marcus Rashford's free kick. It's a great goal. But to lose another goal just a minute later, and again, it's sloppy play, and that's what we've seen throughout. Misplaced passes, players not tracking runs, and that's exactly what happened. The ball broke on the right wing, crossed in, and Phil Foden makes the run and scores. And I think more worrying possibly than the defensive side of things is we don't really look like scoring. It just seems to be, we've got one plan, get Big Kiefer on, get the ball up to him, and hopefully he'll win some knockdowns and we can feed off him. But I'd rather see Wales try and adopt a better style of play, I guess, rather than just lumping it up to Kiefer Moore all the time. And that takes time, and obviously you need quality and you need your top quality players to perform. And that's definitely one thing that's been lacking throughout the tournament, is our top players haven't. Given the ball away too cheaply, positionally poor, and sometimes when Gareth Bale's anonymous, you know you're going to struggle. So I think there needs to be probably a rethink about a style in which we play, whether Rob Page is the right man to lead us. it's not for me to say. I'm not sure. I'm sure the powers that be at the FAW will have their ideas. But certainly, I think we need to create that style and trouble teams more than we do. Because I think we're a bit one-dimensional.
And for you, Ed, because there's been a lot of scrutiny surrounding Southgate about the fact that he can't orchestrate an attack. He's quite defensive. He's quite bland, but he seems to be working so far.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think after the USA game, there was a huge amount of scrutiny for Southgate, probably unjustified as well. You know, it was possibly an overreaction of a fairly poor performance, but 4 days prior they scored 6 past Iran, so probably sort of a very reactionary sort of statement from fans. I think Gareth Southgate's done a really good job. His tournament record speaks for itself. 11 wins in 17 games in tournament football is not an easy feat at all. I think he's got a lot of players to choose from, bringing the likes of Sterling, Grealish off the bench. There's a lot of firepower for him to choose from. Fans aren't always going to be happy when he's benching Foden, but when you got players like Sterling, Mount, Bellingham, Kane, Saka already on the pitch, is such a big pool to choose from. So he's not going to please everyone. I think he will always have his doubters because of his style of play. But last night especially, they showed that when they really go through the gears, they can demolish teams. So I think he's done a really good job.
And I'll tell you what, they're the sort of players that we'd be crying out for.
Yeah,
it's having that quality, having that as backup, and we're sort of bringing on players and hoping that Dan James can go past them and get a cross in, hoping that Brennan Johnson can do something. And these are players that aren't top Premier League players, and that's what we're relying on. So we cast envious glances at the England bench almost sometimes, because they have got so many options. Wales, we are limited, and that tends to define the structure of the way we play, I think. Quickly,
just where did you watch the game last night?
So I watched it just at my house with my housemates. I think I was about 10 of us in the house in the end, all English, so we were all quite happy. But yeah, no, it was a good atmosphere. I had a few beers, just watching the football. So yeah.
And for you, James?
At home with the wife and kids. So
wife and kids.
Yeah, I think my daughter got bored after after the first half, so she left. But my son stuck it out. Fair play to him, he's 9. So yeah, it wasn't the result we wanted, but yeah, as a family, we watched it together.
You're hiding behind the sofa, nervous. Especially until it went just 1-0.
Yeah, as soon as they got that free kick, I thought, here we go, there's a chance here, and so it proved. But yeah, as I say, we're playing against arguably one of the best teams in the world. So maybe not too unexpected, but still hard to take being a Welshman, I guess.
Yeah, certainly. So we've had Adam and Evan going into town and asking about on Vox Pops where the predictions, what were they thinking of the game, and the reactions were certainly interesting. Let's have a look at them.
Absolutely gutted, didn't show up, we're outclassed, not a lot of fight, but 64 years, just happy to be there. We're at the table with the big boys. Didn't work out this time, this was next time. I'm mad or beat, come on Wales.
England did. Wow.
3-0, amazing.
Once we got the goal, they gave up, and I think we just cruised to an easy victory. I think we'll go to the quarterfinals, and I think we could beat France, and who knows from there.
Yeah, it's a shame to see Wales, lose that one, but
massive shame.
Well, Wales played incredible. England's possession a little bit better than ours. Hard loss, but we love it. End it.
There was always an element of Welsh running at steam.
Yeah.
Lack of match fitness.
Yeah.
English were going to dominate in some class and some speed.
England, they're probably going to get at least top 3 in the cup. Wales is a poor result, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we support Britain, mate. We support Britain.
It went one way, it went the wrong way.
A little bit, if I'm being honest, was it alright? It was pretty rubbish. Might cry. It was appalling. Wales, you let us down.
Yeah, we learned from things that have happened today. But overall, I said how proud I was. I had all the staff in the changing room as well, and said as a staff, we're all extremely proud of even getting to the World Cup. I thought our supporters were incredible at the end as well. So to get here was a massive achievement. We're disappointed because we know in a couple of the games we haven't really shown our true colours, and that's probably the most frustrating thing for me and for the group of players. They know that themselves. I don't need to tell them that. So it's important we learn from it. We've had a taste of it now, a World Cup as well, and a Euros, and we want to continue to qualify.
In general, I thought our forwards were good. I thought our midfield were excellent tonight. You know, they really controlled the game. They won so much second ball. They pressed really well, and that made the opportunities quite often for the forwards, and it also made the job of the defenders a lot easier than it might have been.
So this morning, Ethan and Dav were testing around campus, asking for reactions about the game last night. Oh, there's sore heads about, surely enough, but I think people are quite happy or disappointed. Either way you look at it. Good game, I guess.
You watched the game last night?
Yeah.
How are you feeling after the result?
I feel quite good. I'm English, so.
Okay.
Very upset. Amazing.
Disappointing, but expected result. Didn't play very well. Didn't have a really good tournament, but we got the World Cup, something to be proud of. But yeah, it wasn't a great World Cup at all for the Welsh.
It was a pretty poor game, but it is what it is. We go again, move on to the next tournament.
I'm absolutely buzzing. I think England going to win the World Cup now.
Yeah, very good for England. Obviously, with what was the score? 3-0. Yeah, banging free kick as well. Yeah, it was a good game. Yourself?
Gutted, very.
Gutted.
Yeah, not happy.
Top man, you're the first person to say that. How about yourself?
Great game for England.
Yeah, positive, good result for England, yeah. Watched the game last night?
I did indeed.
How'd you feel about the result?
Great result, huge result, big England win, we love it.
Did you watch the Wales vs England game last night by any chance?
Yes, I did. Why?
How are you feeling about the result this morning?
I'm English, so.
So, feeling pretty good?
Pretty good, yeah.
Just gutted, to be
Okay,
honest.
thank you very much. How are you feeling about the result?
Good.
Great, amazing.
Yeah, I felt very good, mate. I mean, not that anything other. Like we expected the results, didn't we? So.
Expected. Yeah, very much expected. Didn't think anything other than that, unfortunately.
I did watch the game last night.
How do you feel about the result?
Mate, I'm absolutely gutted, but you know what? I'm just proud that Wales got there.
I enjoyed it. I'm English, so yeah. Did you watch the game last night?
I did.
How are you feeling after the result?
A little bit sad for a through and through Welsh person, but they did well. After 64 years, they did really well.
So, we've heard enough about last night's game. On to USA. They've been absent now since 2014, and but they made a bit of an impact in this tournament so far, haven't they, Jamesy?
They have. Obviously, first game against Wales, they probably feel like they could have won it. Obviously, the penalty from Gareth Bale, 1-1 draw. But I think their athleticism will come into play. They're all fit, and the other thing is a lot of them now are playing across Europe in some of the top teams. So I think we're seeing that athleticism allied to European coaching and discipline. I think the game against the Netherlands will certainly be an interesting matchup for sure.
Have you, Ed?
Yeah, like Jamesy said, they've got some really good players now playing all across Europe. I think last night was the first time actually that no player in the starting 11 played in the MLS, which is quite a big achievement for the US. It shows sort of how far they've come since that 2014 World Cup. I think the Netherlands could be a tough game for them on Saturday. The Dutch have got some really good players. Cody Gakpo, current leading scorer in the tournament so far. But the US looked really good even against England. They sort of nullified their attack. Even looked quite dangerous on the counter as well. So I think I think they've got a fairly good chance against the Dutch. I think it'll be an interesting game. I think probably you'd say Netherlands are favourites, but we'll see. We'll see how we get on.
So it's not just World Cup action we're having today as well. So we've had Cardiff Met against Cardiff Uni at Llanrynni. Our reporter Cian Tukey is over there with the reports.
Thank you very much, Griff. And to be honest, there isn't too much to tell you. I mean, the game has only kicked off about 10 minutes ago because of controversy before a ball's even been kicked, with the home side, Cardiff, turning up in their home jersey of red, which is against league rules, since if there is a kit clash, the home team needs to change the kit. And I mean, that meant that the kit man was legging it all around Llanrynni, meaning there's not too much to report. And this unpreparedness from Cardiff does show in their league position, with them only winning one game and them sitting at the bottom, while the visitors, Cardiff Met, are top of the league, unbeaten, and have started the game very well. 0-0 here currently. Thank you very much.
So we've seen a lot of skills lately in the World Cup, hopefully in the Mets versus Uni game. But yeah, so we'll see now how the skills have been panning out for Kian and others on the sports broadcasting course, going against a Cardiff Met striker and turning out how can we play our way into the World Cup team, really, with the skills and for free kicks, like Bale does it.
Despite last night's result, Bale's flight hasn't quite landed yet from Doha, but instead we got star forward Lewis Rees to come down and help us out.
Broadcast versus Met.
Cardiff Met flanking down the left here. The ball is going to be played into the middle. It's Lewis Rees on the ball. It's a goal for Cardiff Metropolitan. Another superb play there down the left-hand side. A beautiful pass all the way through. It's found Lewis Rees. It's going to find the back of the net.
So I think that's enough chit-chat for now. It's time to see if you can beat the broadcaster. So Eve, I'm going to have to ask you to get in goal.
Oh!
And, I mean, it's already 1-0, isn't it? Right. That's brilliant. Thanks, Ethan. Lovely stuff for that. Nice. We can actually see he can save top bins, mate.
Could raise the roof here with a goal.
Maybe we have a man inside, but I'll take it. Oh!
Initiating launch sequence.
Oh!
I don't believe it!
Bale makes it look so easy. Okay. Just like Roberto Carlos. Ethan, I feel like you've really grown into this. I can't believe he's just left that. It was a peach of a free kick. Okay. So, Lewis, the better man on the day, thank you very much for coming along.
Okay.
And how did you find that?
It was good, yeah. I thought a decent standard. Hope you've learned something.
I've definitely learned something. I've learned
Good.
that I can't score a free kick, but apart from that, you taught us well, and we'll be sure to take that into our five-a-side tournaments or any endeavour that life might throw at us where we can do that. Some questionable goalkeeping, so we'll probably need to get a new goalkeeper for that. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and if you think you can beat the broadcaster, then you know where to find us. Thank you again, and goodbye.
I think Kian made that look a bit harder than he was, to be honest with you. So, football is universal, as we know. It reaches every corner of the world, and it attempts to include everybody within it. Has that been dampened a bit with the World Cup being in Qatar?
Possibly. I think there will be some people who would have been turned off by at least the things at the early stages of the group stage, with people with rainbow bucket hats turned away and whatnot. But I think all the major broadcasters have done a pretty good job. They got the politics out of the way. We all saw Gary Lineker's intro for the first game. They got it all done, they got it all said, and now everyone's going to watch the rest of this tournament and they'll forget about it, I'm sure.
I believe it hasn't. The only bad thing about it is the time of year it is, November, December, because normally the World Cup is in the summer, and most people want to watch the football. But I was speaking to Professor Alan Hardman earlier regarding the political situation, and stuff regarding the World Cup, and he always said sports and politics are always going to unwind because what happens is a society are always going to be brought into sport. Some people will say they shouldn't unwind, but it's just the world we're living in at the moment. But I believe there is a lot of hypocrisy regarding it, because we had the Russia World Cup 4 years ago and nobody talked about it, and we've got media companies now just blowing trumpet for, I believe, clickbait just every 2 minutes to bring a negative story regarding the World Cup.
So players have been under a lot of pressure, especially in the press rooms. They've been asked the question, should they be in the World Cup, especially with, as we talked about earlier, with One Love armband.
Yeah.
Are they put under unjust pressure as players?
I think probably. I mean, I can't imagine a more difficult stage, to perform at than a World Cup as it is. It's as difficult as it can be for them. They didn't sign up to be politicians. That's one thing that you've got to say, to be fair to them. But footballers and managers now, they know that they're in a privileged position, and their voice, their platform means an awful lot to an awful lot of people. So they've got to understand that and respect that, and it's not just football anymore.
So we've seen they're very media trained now, and Ryan has been down to the FAW to see how this process works and how they're all media trained.
Over the past few weeks, the sporting pendulum has taken a swing in Cymru, a nation more known for their success with rugby than anything else. November is usually associated with successful outings at the Principality Stadium. However, the Welsh have swapped tries and scrums for bucket hats in the cold and rain. Why, you ask? The FIFA World Cup, a tournament that's always exciting, but even more so when it's in the winter and features Wales for the first time in 64 years. To celebrate, murals have been painted up and down the country as locals have become sick with World Cup fever. Cardiff herself has gone ballistic for Bale, who has his face literally plastered all over the capital. Although things didn't end quite as desired for Gareth and co, the journey the team has been on cannot go unnoticed. After steering his team towards qualification to Qatar, manager Rob Page is just one of many top Welsh coaches coming through the ranks. The UEFA professional licence is a mandatory qualification that coaches must obtain in order to work within national leagues in Europe. In Wales, the FAW also hold the course and has seen some high-profile names come through the ranks in recent years. We recently stopped by at the Celtic Manor Hotel to ask the current coaches on the course a few questions on the World Cup, their strengths as a coach, and the experience itself.
That's up for debate. I think that's definitely up for debate.
Yeah, it's been really valuable. It's challenged me in so many different areas.
Here is around self-development and learning and being comfortable to do that with your fellow peers.
From the development of the national team through to the great upcoming coaches coming off the course, it's clear to see the growth and excitement that currently lies within Welsh football. Ryan Bellini, Cardiff Met Sport TV.
So, Cian, I've been hearing there's a bit of excitement at the game. Any standouts so far?
Well, to be truly honest, Griff, the game is starting to liven up now. It took a while to build into it, and I think both teams were put off by the late start, but we are starting to get a little bit of movement. Still yet to have a shot yet, but I think good things are coming.
Cian, I can't see any crowd at the game. Any reason for that?
Well, Griff, if I'm truly honest, this was always known as the Fortress of Llanrumney, but now it's become something of a building site of Llanrumney, with diggers' beaks replacing fans' cheers. Very limited fans have been allowed access into this game. Some, however, have been able to sneak in, being a bit cheeky, but that is the reason why we're getting such a sombre Cardiff clash.
So you're at the game today, a live game. Last night, were you watching the game? Where were you watching it?
I certainly was, and I was watching it in the student-populated area Cathay, somewhere slightly safer for an Englishman, let's say, and let's face it, I'd rather be in Doha right now. It is cold, it is wet, it is miserable, and I'm talking about the weather there, not the Welsh fans from last night.
We'll come back to you, Cian, if there's any goals. Thank you. So, after that VT with Ryan, we've heard them with the media training and everything. So, I don't want you to be media trained at all here. I want honest answers, right? So, I want your teams, your favourites for the World Cup. We'll start with you, Jamesy.
I'm going to go France, I think, because as we discussed earlier, the French are looking particularly strong, especially up front. That front three of Griezmann, Benzema and Mbappe, wow, what a strike force. And they've got strength and depth at the back as well. So even though they're missing a few players, I think France will be the team to beat. I think they've got discipline over sides like Brazil and Argentina as well. So yeah, for me it's the French. Sorry, mate.
Well, I'm going to go with a slight outsider here. I'm going to say Portugal. I think they've looked really good in this tournament so far. Obviously, Ronaldo claiming that goal on the weekend, I'm not quite sure it was his. Bruno Fernandes has been looking fantastic for them so far. Bernardo Silva in that midfield, João Cancelo, one of the best fullbacks in the world. So I think they've got a real quality in their side, Portugal, and they've looked really good so far. So if they can keep that going, I think there's no reason why they can't go all the way. And with Ronaldo in your side, even though he's sort of 37, 38 now, with him in your side, you can do almost anything. So
you spoke about the attackers, the lightning quick attackers. Anyone for the Golden Boot? We'll start with you, Ed.
I'd have to say Mbappe, personally. I think Mbappe's looked fantastic this tournament. Like Jamesy says, they got a fantastic front three around him. He's looked electric. Finishing, I think he's joint top already on 3 goals. I think if they get a good run to the semis or the final, then there's no reason why he can't go all the way and win that Golden Boot.
A few, Jamesy.
Kill me. That's exactly what I was going to say. But if I have to choose, I'd probably say Richarlison. For Brazil, he's unbelievable. His goal-to-game ratio is really high. Obviously, you're looking at teams probably with a Golden Boot who are going to get the first in the tournament to give them more chance of winning it. So I'm going to go for Richarlison, yeah.
So you're both going safe options. No one's going Cody Gakpo. So yeah, we've had your thoughts. We've had Better and Abby as well lining up for the package for the World Cup so far. Here it is.
The Qatar World Cup has given us many talking points over the past 11 days, from the One Love armband to shocking wins. Saudi Arabia made a bold statement in their opening match against Argentina. They came from behind to beat the 2-time World Cup winners 2-1. Germany faced a shocking 2-1 defeat to Japan. Germany dominated the game, but Japan launched a stunning comeback to secure a late winner. Before the match, Germany made a striking statement. The players put their hands over their mouth during the team photo after a backlash from FIFA over the One Love armband. History will be made at Thursday's group stage match between Costa Rica and Germany. It will be the first time an all-female referee team officiated at a Men's World Cup. Stephanie Frappart became the first female official at the tournament as the 4th official in the match between Mexico and Poland. Portugal secured their place in the knockout stages on Monday night with a victory over Uruguay. Bruno Fernandes set the goals rolling with a cross that went straight past the goalkeeper. Portugal made sure their fate was sealed as VAR intervened for a handball. Bruno Fernandes stepped up to the mark to take the kick from the penalty spot. The striker scored 2, despite Cristiano Ronaldo claiming the cross skimmed his head, although Adidas ball technology has shown otherwise. The match was interrupted in the second half as a pitch invader stormed on with a rainbow flag, wearing a shirt that said "Save Ukraine" on the front and "Respect for Iranian women" on the back. He was quickly chased off the pitch by stewards, but released shortly afterwards. Cameroon have had something to dance about as they fought back from 3-1 down to draw 3-3 against Serbia to keep their last 16 dream alive. The Cameroon team have been winning fans' hearts on and off the pitch. Their vibrant presence was captured when they stepped off the bus to face Switzerland in their opener, but in what could be argued to be the most entertaining game so far, Cameroon looked dangerous as they pushed on the attack to secure 2 goals within minutes of each other, to keep their hope of leaving the group stage for the first time since 1990 alive. Qatar exit the World Cup after defeat to Ecuador, Senegal and Netherlands. They break the record for the earliest host entry in 92 years. The Netherlands will now play USA and England will take on Senegal in the last 16.
The World Cup has surely inspired a lot of people around the globe. And we've got our very own massive fan here of the Archers. And I was going to ask him, do you think this will inspire the club, not only the seniors, but the kids coming through the academies and everything?
Yeah, you'd certainly like to think so. I think from a grassroots perspective, people talk about legacy and they bandy the word around quite a lot, but that's where I think it needs to start, is at grassroots. And what you'd hope is the money earned from not just this tournament, but 2016 is funneled into that, and not just in Cardiff, but across Wales. Look at Mid Wales and North Wales in comparison to the South. They probably feel a little bit hard done by in terms of facilities when you look at 3G pitches and everything else. So I think that's where the money should be going, and hopefully we'll see an increase in participation in the Archers Academy as well.
So Ed, will we see a player at the World Cup? We've seen him at the Women's World Cup. Will we see him at the Men's World Cup football now?
Well, we certainly hope so. We got a lot of James will probably know more than me. We got a lot of people coming through. You know, a lot of young people in the first team already playing sort of Welsh Premier League football. So, you know, we can keep our fingers crossed. I think the Welsh short team needs some young people coming through as well. So hopefully we can get some Met boys through into that team and see them at the World Cup in the future. And
how have the Met team been going so far throughout the season?
Not so bad. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, to be honest. We started really well. It seems at the moment it's just getting that consistency. We're currently 6th, but going into the last 8 games of Phase 1, we're playing 6 teams that are below us. So you'd like to think we can pick up a few more points there, and if you get into that top 6, then you can't get relegated and you're guaranteed a chance at playing in Europe. So you're basically 2 games away from Europe if you get that top 6. Just going back to what you were talking about earlier, I think looking at maybe Archers who could go on to play for Wales. If you look at Will Evans, who was a student here, now plays for Newport County, sort of mid-20s. If he was 4 years younger, you'd be looking at it maybe thinking he could push on. But there's no reason why, with a few good seasons, maybe he could be the one who makes a step up and gets a full international cap.
So you just mentioned it there. We've got some star players in. Who have you got your eye on? Have you got anyone in specific, or is it just the next Ronaldo or Messi is going to come out of the Archers?
For me, I'd say CJ Craven, playing in centre back for the Met team. Also playing for the Bucks team today. Actually, he's on the bench down at Cardiff. You know, he's in his 3rd year at university. He's already playing Welsh Premier League football. He come through the TNS Academy. So you know, he's a real prospect for Met, and I think you know, if he continues his development, he's got a real good chance.
So that's the main word here, development. Do you think that is this the best place to develop your football in Wales for youngsters coming to uni?
I think it is. I think from an educational standpoint as well, you've got to remember that a lot of players are released from sort of high-level academies. You've got ex-Cardiff, ex-Newport and ex-Swansea Academy players have all played here. Some have gone on to better things. Some have switched clubs and continue to play in the Cymru Prem. But I think if you ally the educational aspect to all the facilities here and the backup you have got, then I don't think there is a better place to come and play football now. Then I would say that.
So lucky we have Matt James with us here, avid Cardiff Met fan, and he's been. If you're wondering how the season has been going so far, he's done a little feature for us, so you can find out.
Cardiff Met Women started the season looking to bring the league title back to Kincoid for the first time since 2019. And opened their campaign at the Swansea.com Stadium against title rivals Swansea City with a 2-0 defeat. Despite this early setback, Met quickly overcame this and currently sit 3rd in the table behind Cardiff City and Swansea. There is still plenty to play for as the Archers try and chase down league leaders Cardiff City Women, as well as Adran Trophy and Welsh Cup quarter-finals to look forward to. And the fans will be hoping the goals of Ellie Priest and Emily Allen can fire the team to glory come the end of the season. For the men's team, a strong start to the season sees them currently sit in 6th place, with 8 games of Phase 1 remaining and a huge local derby against Pontypridd United coming up this Friday at the USW Sports Park. The last meeting saw the Archers run out 3-0 victors, and we caught up with manager Ryan Jenkins to get his thoughts on the game.
Yep, so back to league action on Friday. How important would the 3 points be?
Absolutely massive. I mean, you can't take any team for granted in this league. Everybody's competitive, but we try to focus on the performance, and if that performance happens, I think we got a good chance of getting 3 points. Those 3 points are going to be massive for us in trying to get to the top 6, which is a must for us. You know, I think start the season we didn't really know what to expect from ourselves. I knew that we were going to be competitive in every game, but at this stage now top 6 has to be a priority.
If the Archers can keep key players fit, there's no reason why the team can't claim a top 6 finish and another shot at European glory. Let's take a look at the highlights of the season so far.
So, we've got the highlights. Now we're going to turn over to Cian, who's live at Llanrymni watching that game with Met versus Cardiff Uni, the huge clash. Let's jump over to him now.
Thank you very much, Griff. And we're back here. I was saying that things were starting to heat up. Teams were going through the gears and something was about to happen. And we're still waiting for that to happen. It's still 0-0 down here between Cardiff and Cardiff Met. Both teams are still really struggling to get into the game, and I do think the late kickoff had something to do with that. We've got about 15 more minutes to play left of this game, and something needs to happen. Someone really needs to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and make it happen. Star players like Matty James have been very quiet, so Cardiff Met really need to get him involved and get him so that he can maybe, again, win the Cardiff clash for Cardiff Met. And just before I go, Griff, if you have some free time next week, how about we go and hit some free kicks and you see how hard it really is?
So, is there anyone specific? You talked about Matty James. Is there anywhere on the pitch? You've got midfield, you've got attackers, defence, all strong for Cardiff Met. But is there any aspect in particular that will win this game for us?
Do you know what? I think if you were going to pick a team who's been on top, it would probably be Cardiff. And they've been able to get down those flanks, and that is looking like a weakness for Met at the moment. If they can shore up there, and if they can get the ball in midfield, get their danger men, and find that space in behind, which is there if the forwards stay disciplined and don't get offside like they have done a couple of times, they will win the game.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Cian. Back to you two. So, we've got the America World Cup, North America. Are you excited at all?
Yeah, very. I'll hopefully get some time to go out there in 4 years' time. Fingers crossed.
Right, so, how do you think it'll go? Because we've seen with Russia, we've got 10-hour internal flights. Do you think it'll be some of the same, or will we see, as we've seen this time, more of a city-led World Cup where you've got Group A in, say, Canada and Group B in Mexico?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you'll find. I think you'll probably find the east and west coast of America, they'll house a certain amount of group games and try and keep it as close as possible. I remember USA 94 and some of the flights were absolutely ridiculous, to be honest, flying halfway across America to play games. And obviously the players don't want it, the fans don't want it, so you can base people in those areas as close as possible together. I think that's going to benefit obviously the fans and the players. But I think going back to that 94 World Cup, it'd be interesting to see the legacy from that. Obviously we had the MLS. It's great to see American football specific grounds being built now, as opposed to just playing in these huge college grounds and American football stadiums. So I think get that soccer specific feel, I think, will be really beneficial to the American public and probably grow their league as well.
Ben, thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you for that. So it's been a jam-packed show for you today. We're halfway through the World Cup. We're going on to the round of 16 next. Unfortunately, Wales are out, but Ed's happy because England are still in. So join us again next Wednesday where we've got the Bucks Super Rugby Clash. So thank you very much for watching. And we're quite excited for it, exactly. So keep on watching the World Cup. And hopefully, please, don't let England win. All right? Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Morning class here, one message for you. Up the Archers! Up the Archers!
Come on, the Archers, you can do this. Come on. Hi guys, up the Archers.
Up the Archers! Go on, one.
Up the Archers!
Up the Archers! Go on.
Cardiff Uni is the better uni. But up the Archers.
Up the Archers! Up the Archers! Come on, let's have it!